In an old man's yard, a young man was sharing his concerns about his father's favoritism. As he listened to the discussion of the villagers around them, he understood that the source of trouble was the young man's ungrateful attitude. Suddenly, a goshawk swooped down from the sky and grabbed the young man's arm with its sharp claws, causing several bloodstains. The goshawk was about to attack again, causing the man to flee in fear. Hello, and welcome to Amazing Animal Stories. Today's story of this eagle that did something unthinkable when an old man was to be attacked by his son. However, before we begin our story, we would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel, Amazing Animal Stories, and also press the bell icon. Let's get started. In Mongolia, an old man named Zhang lives with his son and daughter. Sadly, his wife passed away while giving birth to their daughter, and since then, Zhang has been raising his children on his own. From a young age, he has felt guilty about their lack of maternal love, so he's indulged with them. However, this indulgence ultimately led to a disastrous outcome. Zhang named his son Zhangbo, with the hope that he would grow up to be knowledgeable. But unfortunately, his son dropped out of school after junior high and refused to continue his education. As a result, his son went on a hunger strike at home, and Zhang had no choice but to agree to his demands. Zhang's daughter, on the other hand, despite being spoiled, was remarkably obedient and sensible. She worked hard and achieved excellent grades, eventually being accepted into college. Meanwhile, Zhangbo had very little to do and sometimes resorted to stealing money so he could spend time online. When his sister was accepted into university, Zhangbo suggested he find work in another city. Zhang was overjoyed that his son was finally showing an interest in getting a job and provided both children with money before sending them off on the bus to the city. One day, Zhang went out for a walk. He heard a dog barking in the distance. Out of curiosity, he stepped forward. It turned out that two big dogs were teasing a big bird. The bird had grey-brown feathers, a beak like a hook, and sharp claws. It's a goshawk. While barking wildly, two dogs hurt the goshawk with their claws. The goshawk dodged. After seeing this, Zhang thought suspiciously, why do two dogs bully this overlord of the sky? Suddenly, Zhang found the cause. The goshawk flapped vigorously with one wing, but the other didn't lift. Maybe its wings were injured. Zhang couldn't help but let out a deep sigh at the sight of the majestic goshawk being bullied by two dogs. He quickly picked up a long stick and tried to shoo the dogs away. As soon as the dogs saw Zhang brandishing the stick, they ran away as fast as they could, but not without turning their heads to bark back at him. Seeing this, Zhang raised the stick to scare them off. Once the dogs were gone, Zhang turned to the injured goshawk, who was pitifully hopping around on the ground. Though the bird tried to escape when Zhang approached, it couldn't fly away due to its injured wings. Zhang chuckled and tossed the stick aside, then opened his hands to show that he had no intention of harming the goshawk. It's unclear whether the goshawk fully comprehended the situation, but it gradually stopped hopping and gazed at Zhang with a watchful expression in its round eyes. With caution, Zhang slowly approached the goshawk and suddenly scooped it up into his arms while it was off guard, careful not to get scratched by its sharp claws. He held the bird firmly by its legs, but the goshawk fought back vigorously before eventually resigning to its capture. When the other villagers saw Zhang holding such a large and impressive bird, they all wanted to know where he had caught it. Zhang just laughed and didn't respond, leaving them to ponder and wonder. Upon returning home, Zhang gently placed the goshawk on the table inside his house. He closed all the windows and doors tightly to prevent the bird from flying around. Surprisingly, the goshawk remained obedient on the table, allowing Zhang to examine its injured wing. Upon closer inspection, Zhang saw that the wound on the bird's wing was quite severe, with feathers missing from the surrounding area. The beautiful brown feathers of the goshawk stood out in stark contrast to the bleeding wound. Carefully, Zhang cleaned the wound and applied some medicine to help it heal. After the Goshawk realized that the treatment was not causing pain, confusion could be seen in its large round eyes. Zhang smiled and spoke gently. "Don't worry, my feathered friend, you're safe with me. I'm not going to harm you." He searched for some raw meat and carefully fed the Goshawk. Zhang tended to the wound daily, and eventually the Goshawk recovered. As time passed, Zhang and the Goshawk grew closer. One day, when Zhang arrived home, he spotted the Goshawk perched on the beam of his house. Seeing that the Goshawk's wings had healed was an incredible sight. Zhang was pleased and offered the Goshawk some meat to celebrate. He opened the door to release the Goshawk, but to his surprise, it followed him home, soaring into the sky. Even though Zhang tried to release the Goshawk back into the wild, it refused to leave and would often return to Zhang's house. Zhang found it amusing and would tell the Goshawk that he had no food to offer. Despite this, the Goshawk would perch on a nearby tree and observe Zhang as he went about his day. Eventually, Zhang stopped providing the Goshawk with food, but it still returned daily after hunting. It even brought back prey as if it was sharing its catch with Zhang. People in the area began to notice the Goshawk frequently perched beside Zhang, and it seemed as if the two had formed an unlikely friendship. Zhang had recently received the wonderful news that his daughter had landed a job and would return home in a few short days. He couldn't contain his excitement, pacing back and forth in his yard as he thought about all the dishes he wanted to cook for her. However, his joy was cut short when a poisonous snake slithered toward him without noticing. In a swift and unexpected move, the Goshawk that had become Zhang's loyal companion swooped down from the treetops and fiercely grabbed the snake with its sharp claws, protecting Zhang from harm. After narrowly escaping a poisonous snake, Zhang was grateful to the Goshawk for its swift action in grabbing the snake. As he watched the Goshawk fly away with the snake, he suddenly heard the door open. It was his son, who had come back unexpectedly after more than a year. Zhang was thrilled to see his son and asked why he hadn't informed him. His son replied that he was worried about being unprepared, as he had a girlfriend in the city whose family thought he had no money or knowledge. He then asked his father for help. Upon knowing that his son had a girlfriend, Zhang was overjoyed and wanted to know more about her personality and character. However, Zhang became impatient after answering some questions, so Zhang decided not to ask anymore. Zhang then retrieved the dowry he had saved and showed it to his son. However, Zhang was not pleased with the amount and expressed dissatisfaction, citing that his girlfriend comes from a wealthy family. Zhang felt disheartened, but then suggested they use the money he had saved for his daughter's dowry. Zhang, with a hint of bitterness, asked if Zhang had favoured his daughter more than him, since they were young. When Zhang faced his son's accusations, he felt upset because he believed he treated his children equally. Despite his well-behaved daughter sometimes being more humble, Zhang did not appreciate Zhang's baseless claims. The villagers around them shook their heads in disapproval, with some even saying that they had predicted that Zhang's son would not be a filial child. Despite being scolded by his father, Zhang still demanded money and even pushed Zhang to the ground in an attempt to enter the house. Thankfully, the Goshawk watching them came to the rescue and viciously attacked Zhang, who eventually left the scene. After Zhang left, Zhang's daughter returned home from the city with some bags. She was shocked and upset after hearing about what had happened with her brother. As they were discussing the situation, there was a sudden knock on the door. To their surprise, 2 police officers stood outside in uniform. After welcoming them in, the police informed them that Zhang had harmed someone in the city and was now being hunted by the police. It was revealed that he had attempted to cheat his father out of money before leaving. After listening to the police's account of Zhang's crimes, Zhang was utterly disappointed in his son's behaviour. With Zhang's cooperation, the police were able to apprehend Zhang and bring him to justice. After Zhang's son was taken away by the police, Zhang was deeply affected and felt like he had aged 10 years. His daughter was also worried about him and offered to care for him in the city, but Zhang was reluctant to leave his old house behind. He reassured his daughter that the Goshawk would keep him company and that she didn't need to worry about him. He knew that he couldn't be of much help to her at this point, but he was grateful for her concern. So, Zhang returned to his daily routine, taking walks with the Goshawk and enjoying its company. So, that's it for today. Let us know your views in the comments section below. We hope you found the story very interesting. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Also, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel, Amazing Animal Stories. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new uploads. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.